All right, talking Ohio State football. We're on Facebook Live. We're on YouTube as well, right here at MarkRogersTV for the best in college football coverage. If I do say so myself, just go to MarkRogersTV.com and pick your team, and you should be able to find them. And we talked to Claire as much as possible to talk up the Buckeyes. And even though the season's over, it seems, Claire, like we're continuing to watch Ohio State play football by just simply watching the NFL playoffs.
There are quite a few Buckeyes in the NFL playoffs, and it was, you always have a sense of pride as a Buckeye fan, knowing, one, that whenever these guys are moving on, that they're successful, and that they're getting starts. And not only are they getting starts as rookies, but they're doing well. But you also know, as someone, I'm not someone that's ever going to say that I follow recruiting very closely, but I do know that is a big bargaining chip that Urban Meyer uses when you come to Ohio State. That you have not only the chance to play in the NFL, you have a much greater chance of playing in the NFL, being drafted, and playing at a very high level. And every single Buckeye that gets featured in one of these games ends up just enhancing the ability for Urban Meyer to use that as a bargaining chip.
I more so want to highlight what we've seen over the past few days in the NFL playoffs concerning Ohio State football, but I will touch on one note that Tony Gerdeman and I discussed more at length, and that's that even those players, and the reason I bring it up and think of it now is we mentioned Malik Hooker, and he's a guy that sat on the bench, grew frustrated, enjoyed his stay at Ohio State, wanted to be there, but thought, when am I going to get my chance? Almost transferred, played one season at Ohio State, first-round pick in the NFL draft. Marshawn Lattimore couldn't get on the field hardly at all, and he's one of the best cover corners in the NFL right now with the New Orleans Saints. So it's amazing how it works at a few elite schools, and Ohio State is obviously right there. So, Claire, what I've done, it hit me in watching the games yesterday. I thought, okay, there are some arguments in college football that never grow old. They never go away. Who's got the best conference? Who's the best program? So forth and so on. And I think one of those is who produces the best NFL players. So I get out my notepad and I go to work while I'm watching the NFL playoffs. So I am starting what I thought was going to be a top 5 or top 10 series. It's going to be a top 25 series of the 25 best producing NFL players currently in the NFL. And we'll see where Ohio State ranks. I believe it's going to be extremely, extremely high. Extremely high.
I'm super excited about this. Speaking of bargaining chips, you're just giving me more fuel for what we talked about before, the nouveau riche of college football, to say that they've reached the top of the mountain. They've reached where they want to be in college football. For me to be like, here's my ace in the hole. Mark Rogers said that the Buckeyes have a top 5 program because of the NFL talent they churn out.
Well, that's one of the things that you have to consider.
True.
So in just watching the game yesterday, the New Orleans Saints, I think when in doubt, Sean Payton has told the front office, draft a Buckeye.
Yeah.
Let's get a Buckeye on this team. Marshawn Lattimore, Von Bell on the defensive side. They line up those 2 wide receivers. It's Michael Thomas. It's Ted Ginn.
Yeah.
And here's a stat for you, courtesy my son. This is pretty amazing. Michael Thomas is the only receiver in the history of the NFL to catch at least 195 passes for over 2,300 yards his first 2 seasons. He is the only player to have ever done that.
It's incredible when you think about, and it's not like Ohio State is not known for churning out NFL wide receivers. It is such and considering what a contrast it was from his career at Ohio State, I think he may have even been handcuffed a little bit because of the offenses that he was a part of at Ohio State. And not a knock on Ohio State. It's just the fit and the quarterbacks that were there when he was there. But it just goes to show you the talent that he's got is really, I'm extremely well aware of how well Michael Thomas is doing, not just from a casual NFL standpoint, but I've drafted him the last 2 years on my fantasy team. So he's been pay dirt for me.
So, and we'll see Malcolm Jenkins this weekend as well, suited up for Philadelphia. And so we don't see that other guy, Tom Brady, show up in another Super Bowl from the team up north.
That would be fine with me.